listening to the gentleman from Baltimore, and I wanted to ask him. I know it was an old show, but we're getting the same play now with the what is that? South Carolina killing of the people. I didn't want to talk about it, but I'm going to tap at it briefly. And all of the atrocities that are happening to our people, I'm waiting to hear a program for us to survive and get out of this madness. We can't keep trying to be good. We cannot survive trying to be good Europeans. That's been our problem all the time. We're whiter than the European himself. We struggle to make him happy, make him what can I say? Make him peaceful. Don't rear up. We're going to try to be a good nigger for you in order for you to set up your program and do what you do. Now, every time we have a crisis, they want to go deeper into our communities, which they created, and then turn it into us and say, well, you're killing each other every day. You have black-on-black crime every day. Why you get upset when a police officer kills one of you people? I'll say it that way. Well, the problem is we need self-determination, and that's not trying to be a United States citizen. We have to learn what type of program, what type of policy, what type of government, what type of corporation that we are in, and then we have to figure out through our intelligence how to get out of it. Now, if I ask the question, is there a difference between America and United States? The question will probably be 80 to 90%. There is no difference. United States of America, that's where I live. Well, that's the biggest lie that was ever told. There's no paperwork to prove that there is such a thing as United States of America when it comes to the United States the United States Constitution. There is a corporation known as United States of America, Inc., but nobody talks about it. I can prove that there was a corporation in 1871. They created it through a bishop of some nature. He was a bishop or a monk. He was a Catholic dude, and he filed paperwork in Delaware to become a corporation known as United States of America, Inc. And then he appointed the Queen of England and the Pope of the Vatican, the trustees, to run the corporation. And then he said the beneficiary are 14th Amendment citizens. Now, put that on paper and see how much madness that makes. I can prove that. I have documents, and I can tell you where to go on the internet to see what they actually did. And it's madness. So now we are fighting. Every time something happens, we get together, we cry, we march. We got the NAACP now talking about walking from Selma, Alabama, 861 miles or 68 miles to Washington, D.C. to beg that we need help. Somebody help us. Now, how many times are we going to make that trip to D.C. and they just turn their heads? They give us one day of sympathy, and then they turn the police. They probably turn the police on us on the way home from Washington, D.C. Then I hear, and that would be the 50-year anniversary of Martin Luther King's March on Washington. Then I heard the other day, if you haven't heard it, Asira, you should look at the YouTube. Louis Farrakhan is talking about doing a 20-year anniversary Million Man March in October of 95. What 1995 was the year, so he wants to do a 20-year march. Although he's calling it a different type march, I say it's going to be a death march because the whole country is so tense. Even mulattoes, I'll use that word, mulattoes, who are trying to be honest and trying to be free, but they're being caught between a rock and a hard place, some by design and others because they don't really know what to do. Nobody speaks to them, okay? Then we have they're putting emphasis on so much that throws us off. They want to talk about the lady out in Spokane, Washington, and her problem is she's white. She wants to be black, and then here come those civil rights all-stars, Jesse Jackson and that bunch, talking about, oh, that's a shame. Oh, we got to march. We got to do this, do that. Don't those Negroes know that the NAACP was founded by white people, for white people? Don't they know that the award they give out every year called the Spingarn a medal? Don't they know that those two Jews were the most treacherous Jews in the early 20s and 30s who got Martin Luther King's grandfather in trouble? And they went to all the BLACLK preachers that they could get to bring their ministers bring their congregations into the NAACP. Then they told the ministers, we want a list of anyone in your congregation that's got those revolutionary ideas. Now, why don't they bring that stuff out? Why don't they talk about what's really for real? We got youth. Here's a problem, major problem we're going to have this summer. Our youth are not afraid of the police. We older folks, I'm 75, I've been conditioned, I've been through segregation, I've been through integration, and now I'm a stone more revolutionary trying to get my freedom by any means necessary. I'll say it that way, okay? So that means that I know when to stop, when to go. I'm not going to run up on a police officer that's got a gun. I would know better to stop, shut my mouth, and use my paperwork to deal with him when the time is right. But that's hard to put in these youth's mind, because when that cop told Michael Brown, get your black ass out of the street, I can imagine what he told him when he turned around. And then there's a conflict. The boy's dead. You get what I'm saying? So we need some conversation on how can we survive. Where are we going to go from this? In the next 6 months, the next year, the next 5 years, we need a plan that we need to put everybody on the plan. Okay? Now, I know from my studies, I'm looking at it, I know what the plan has to be. And the plan it's a twofold plan. Number one, you need to study your history by any means necessary. And I'll say the history, because we talk about that European who will put it out there. But you can need to study and find out, how did he get over here? Who told that Peckerwood to come over here on this land? Who told him he had a right to set up shop and set up what we know today as the 13 colonies? Where did that come from? Who told him to do that? That's number one. Do we know that there's a difference between United States and America? There is an Indian chief, a Moor, by the name, there was an Indian chief. His name was Akapuchu. That's where I pronounce it. I can't pronounce it. If I show you the spelling, your tongue will go into a flippity flop, because it's a good 15 letters. But he, in 1540s, he owned more land than America itself. He was the chief of the largest confederation in the history of North America. Let's put it that way. Now, from that confederation, the Europeans knew that the female is the giver of land, and the males are the protector of land. So they knew they had to figure out a way to marry into the family by getting our women to agree to get married. So John Smith, that crooked Peckerwood, he came and kidnapped first Pocahontas. We don't even think about Pocahontas no more. We don't know anything about Pocahontas other than Walt Disney giving us a cartoon of a mulatto-looking, beautiful, queen of some nature. We don't know that she was in line when she became of age to have the queen authority over all the land in America. Her grandfather knew it, so he was trying to keep the Europeans in 15, 60, and 70, trying to keep them off, but he couldn't do it. There was a whole lot of fighting, a lot of fighting. So the bottom line was they had to kidnap Pocahontas. Well, somebody killed, or better yet, let me say it a little better. The Europeans said John Smith died of a suspicious circumstances. But all of a sudden, a Dey, listen to that word, D-E-Y, named John Dawes, D-O-D-A-W-E-S, Dawes or Dawes. He comes in and starts courting Pocahontas, wanted to marry her, but he had to convince her that John Smith was dead. Now, John Smith, before he died, he brought in the missionaries so they could teach Christianity to the natives, the Native Americans. Well, Okapochu, the big chief, said, we don't want it. They were burning down the churches, killing all of the Europeans they could find. But the war didn't last long. He was defeated. But the founding of the Iroquois Confederation was founded in approximately 1548. Now that should tell you something, because history will show that the original Civil War in 1855 was fought between the Algonquin Confederation, which was Iroquois, and the Pocahontas' daddy, who was the Powhatan. You've heard me talk about that before. It's called the Powhatan Confederation. Okay? They fought the first Civil War in approximately 1850, 1855. Well, the South, which was the Iroquois, they won that war. The settlers, now we're getting into the Peckerwood. The settlers, known as colonists, settlers, frontiersmen, they never called them Europeans. They didn't want you to know what was happening. They began to hook up with some more tribes and unite with the Powhatan in order to start the Civil War that they talk about in 1862, when it started. And that was the beginning of white supremacy, because they had a plan. The Europeans had a plan, and that plan was to create a government in the United States, hook up since everybody was not aware that America and United States were two different entities. And if you read history, you'll know that they only talk about United States of America after 1870s. So where did it come from? They created that monster, made us go to their schools, created Jim Crow, Christian black codes, Ku Klux Klan, and literally beat the crap out of us, murdered us. Anybody that was against the new government or the new corporation was murdered by the government. I was reading a passage I was reading a piece the other day where the Indians were fighting so much, and I'm calling them Indians for lack of a term. I could go Moors, but the Indians were fighting the Europeans so much because the European wanted the Indians, although they had, for example, 500 square miles of land. That was their land, Indian territory. The United States, in their trickology, wanted the chief. They go get the chief, the head, they way up top, and said, we want to give every member of every warrior 200 acres. And the chiefs, some of the chiefs, I don't know how they persuaded them, but some of the chiefs fell for that lie. But what happened was the settlers would come in and go to each 200 acres and figure out a scheme to make them sign over the land to the Europeans. That's how they were stealing the land. That was one of the major ways they were stealing the land. So all of that history has to be taught to our children. That's number one. Now, here comes number two. Number two, we got to understand how is it possible for every person in America, quote, AKA United States of America, why is all of our identification in all capital letters? Most people say it's no big deal. Okay? Somebody told me at one time on the air, well, it was a mistake. They didn't really realize it. I said, oh, come on. Everything you got in your pocket, Ashir, that came from the corporation is in all capital letters. Now, when you were in first grade, and I wasn't there, but I'm going to tell you what that teacher did to you. When she started teaching you ABCs and told you how to spell your name, go to the blackboard, Ashir, and spell your name. If you went up there and put a great big A, a great big S, a great big H, he hit them knuckles. Bam, bam. Didn't I tell you to make the first one big and the rest of them little? She was teaching you the pronoun, and that was way back when you was in grade school, kindergarten. I know that happened to me, and I could almost see that teacher with that ruler popping them knuckles, teaching us how to spell our names. Well, she taught you that your name is a personal noun, and it should only be spelled with big first letter, small the rest of the letters. All right? So I'll ask you right now, when you get your utility bill and a share is in all capital letters, why in the hell do you pay it?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Why do we pay it?
Yes, because it's not you. It's not you. Now, how did that happen? That's where the second part of our freedom. We need to teach this. We need to understand the difference between public and private. I'm reserving myself to be private. It's difficult because I've never done it before. I've seen a couple of cats that do it well, and I'm learning how to do it. But if you're private, you want to pull yourself completely, psychologically, consciously, physically out of the public. You want your name, all caps, round march, with a social security number to completely disappear. It don't belong to you. It belongs to the United States of America in Washington, D.C. That's why they shoot and kill us, because we're nothing but property, and he labels his property with all capital letters. Now, you can ignore it. You can act like it don't exist. You can act like they ain't talking to you. But every day they shooting and killing us, and the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, it was a clean shoot. And then they'll go get a Uncle Tom nigger to get on the air and say, well, for example, that 14-year-old girl. I saw that big-head sucker get on the air and who lived in McKinney. Oh, well, if she hadn't resisted, the cop never would have pulled her hair and thrown her down. Why did the cop approach her anyway? Now, I know everybody's seen that wild man from Borneo running around with that pistol. You also seen that all the other cops were standing around looking. Why is that? Now, there's no argument. There's no way they can defend that guy. So they told him literally, you got to go. Get the hell out of here. All the other cases, they figured out how they can defend themselves. So now we got our people talking about we're going to get some cameras so it's going to help us. No, it's not. Because all the cop has to do, think about this, sure. When he walks up to you, no matter if you're in the car or out of the car, if he reaches and grabs you and yanks you towards him, and at the same time scream, why are you resisting? He's covered. Every time he hits you with that blackjack, why are you resisting? Stop fighting me. Stop fighting me back. Now, when they put that on the camera, they say, well, he was resisting arrest. That's why he had to use force. You dig it? When that girl, I just saw that girl, the second girl. Where was that at? They bent her arm up, and I think they said that they broke her wrist and pulled her joint. She was in Cleveland. I think it was in Cleveland. Yes, it was. They went to the swimming pool. I don't know all the details, but the swimming pool didn't want them to come in, one of those public pools. So they told them they wasn't dressed properly. They can't come in. So a big argument broke out. They called the police. The police came. One thing led to another. They said that the girl, who was 9, 10, or 11 years old, she was resisting and wouldn't follow orders from them devils. Now, how in the hell is a 12, 14, 16-year-old kid going to follow orders from a peckerwood who's screaming and shouting and calling them out of their name, get on the ground, put your hands on your head, and all that kind of stuff?
Right.
And the first thing the chief says is it was a good arrest. If they wasn't resisting, we never would have had to do this, blah, blah, blah. You dig? So I'm waiting on these superstars, these civil rights all-stars. I'm waiting on the AKAs. I'm waiting on these damn boulets. I'm waiting on all these Negroes that got these microphones talking about they working for CBS and NBC, all that crazy. I want somebody to come out and say, we have to separate from these people. We've been trying to get along with them ever since 63. We must separate. Now, there are going to be a whole lot of people say, I ain't going nowhere. Well, you don't have to go. You have to work on your brain. You can separate with your mind. You don't have to move physically out there because we don't have anywhere to go. But we have to learn to be private. Now, let me tell you, I'm gonna show this to you when I come down there. That I don't know about the state of Mississippi, but every state has a law called Founding Unparentage Act. That's what it's kind of under. Founding, notice that word, Founding. Founding Unparentage Act. Now, what is that about? Well, do you have children, Ashura?
No, I don't.
Do you have children? Okay. Well, woman that has children, know that sometime between the recovery room and getting put back into their regular bedroom of the hospital, the nurses want them to sign paperwork. And every one of them signs paperwork. And if you ask them today, or ask your mother today, what did you sign? I guarantee you she's going to say, I didn't have no idea. And I was getting ready to slap the hell out of that nurse if she hadn't kept bugging me, all of that stuff. Well, I'm going to tell you what you did. When they signed that paperwork, several things happened. Number one, the mother admitted that she was a kidnapper and that she found the baby, and she wants to turn the baby in. I know you ain't going to believe this, but I'm gonna show it to you.
Oh, my goodness.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull it up and read the Michigan law. And I hope I can get right to it because I don't want no hanky-panky. Where you at? Come on with it, baby. And I don't want any hanky-panky. So what I'm going to do, here we go, I'm going to read it to you. I got two states. I got Ohio and I got Michigan. And you have to do your own research in your own state. So here we go. In Michigan, it says, this is a compiled law of Michigan. It's the compiled law 333.2825. And it's entitled, Assuming Custody of Live Birth Child of Unknown Parentage, the form, the contents, and the filing of report, place of birth, report of birth registration, sealing and opening of report. Number one, a person who assumes custody of a live-born child of unknown parentage shall report on a form and in a manner prescribed by the state register the following information. A, the date and place of finding the child. B, the sex and appropriate birth date of the child. C, the name and address of the person or institution with whom the child is placed for care. D, the name given to the child by the custody of the child, by the custodians of the child. E, other data required by the state register. Now here's the humdinger. The report shall be filed in a manner prescribed by the state register not later than 5 days after the person assumes custody. Now they're really telling all females that you are a crook. You found that baby. And you got to sign this document before you can get out, or they can charge you with kidnapping. And it must be signed within 5 days of the person assuming custody. And number 3, the place where the child is found shall be entered as the place of birth. Now, where do you think the child was found, Ashira?
When do I think the what?
When do you think a baby is found? F-O-U-N-D. When do you find a baby? When does a mother find the baby?
Oh, like in a dumpster or something?
No. When she delivers it. As soon as the baby comes out, she found that baby. And you must enter, I'll read it to you. The place where the child is found shall be entered as the place of birth. So what I'm really telling you, I'm giving you the data for a birth certificate. Everything I described here is in the birth certificate. Because the place where it's found is the hospital where you're at.
Okay. Oh, you know what? We're having such a bad connection. I'm kind of hearing like every other word you're saying.
Oh, I thought you were listening. I thought you were hearing me good. Mercy.
Not very clear. It's very,
trying to figure out.
distorted. So,
Well, you know I got a scratchy voice. That's part of it. My voice is...
No, it's not your voice.
It's not the voice?
It's not your voice. It's
okay.
something with the phone line. I don't know if it's because...
I can hear...
because of the 2 lines. But can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I hear you very, very clear. And if I don't talk so loud, maybe that'll help. You dig? Let's see, like now, how does it sound now? And I hear the wind behind. I hear the wind behind you. I don't know if you're inside.
Let me see. Yes, let me move away from this. Okay. And let me see if I can hear you a little better.
All right. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. How about that? And how does it sound now?
It's still kind of messed up.
Still kind of messed up. Okay. The only thing I can do is...
I've been trying to work on it on my end over here.
Yep. Well, I'm on the internet, and I don't know what else to say.
Do you have your sound turned up on your computer? Maybe if you turn your sound down on your computer.
All right, let's try that. I can do that, and I think that might be a good idea. Okay. All right, I just turned it down. How does it sound now? Is that better?
That sounds like it's better. Keep talking and let me see. Just go ahead on.
All right, I have 2 states. That's the only states I dealt with. And I told you I had Ohio and I have Michigan. And each state has this because they have to put you into that 14th Amendment situation so that you can be a citizen of United States of America. And you need to understand corporate law. That's one of the biggest problems we have is corporate law, because corporate law deals with jurisdiction. And every institution in the United States belongs to Washington, D.C., because all corporations come under the United States so-called government. So when you get a police department, the police department has its own jurisdiction, and they have rules and regulations set up in the jurisdiction so that they can make up stuff, and whatever they do is covered by the jurisdiction in their jurisdiction. See, when they stop you, anytime a police officer stops you, he's got to have a reason to stop you. And that reason must be a constitutional reason. They ignore that. And since the Queen is a trustee, she set up what I call your enforcement agency of the United States, such as judges, prosecutors, lawyers, clerks, police officers. All of those come under the bar. Do you know what BAR stands for? Everybody said I'm a member of the bar, like it's a big deal. The membership of the bar, the British Accredited Register. You owe your allegiance to the Queen of England. Then they reach out and accept all fraternal orders. That's why police get away with murder, Masonic order, Masons get away with murder, Knights of Columbus get away with murder, and guess what? Motorcycle gangs get away with murder because they are a fraternal order. A lot of people don't know that. They can sell if you have a town, the city council will vote in how many liquor licenses there will be in the city. There's an A, B, C. There might be a D, but I know they got different types of licenses. If a city has all of the licenses taken up, and a motorcycle gang comes in and registers, he gets a right to sell alcohol in that damn motorcycle club. How does he do that? They have a special way of dealing with those liquor laws that all fraternal orders have a right to do it. When you go to a Knight of Columbus hall, they can sell liquor across the bar in their affairs. Yes, jurisdiction is something that we don't know about. We don't understand jurisdiction. When they had the problem in the basketball NBA comes under association, and it has its own jurisdiction. So things that happen in there, it can only be settled by the rules and regulations of the association. If they ask the police to come in, yes. If they ask the police to come in, they can come in and deal with it. But most of the time, they like, especially the NBA, because it's such an integrated monopoly on finances that they don't want to have too many problems. So they try to solve everything within. You dig? Notice that the police charges, that's a good one, the police charges for that boy out in Minnesota, they were doing more damage to him by the association than they did from the police department. Why is that? But don't forget that because he's a member of the NFL, and he has to follow the rules of the membership. When he gets his check, it's almost like a contract, but it's not. But it's almost like a contract. But see, we need to learn those things. And on your job, if you get hired on your job and you go in tomorrow and have a Jerry curl or African roll, and the boss say he don't like that, he can fire you. Now you have a right you have a right to fight him, but he also says, well, I don't want that in my company. I want clean looking people. Or I got a better one. Tattoos out in California is a big thing. If you go looking for a job and you have a tattoo show, especially if you're black, and you have a tattoo showing on your body, they will not hire you because they don't want to get hung up in any type of gang violence. Now, that's discrimination. You got a right to do what you want to do with your body. But they have a way of getting around it because they'll say, for example, I'm not hiring today or whatever. My granddaughter got hired, and when she came back the next day to go to work, the boss saw that tattoo and fired her right on the spot. Yes, you see when I'm telling. Yes, yes. He said we can't have those tattoos in here. So we get hung up in a lot of stuff that we don't know about, and it's already set up. Because now Europeans understand this kind of stuff because they don't go in for all of that. They're on a different plateau. But we have a culture that we got to understand what our culture is. Our culture is nowhere near the European, nowhere near. And all this fighting and black on black crime, that's natural for us. Our ancestors fought black on black crime. It wasn't as violent as it is, and there were rules set up how they could stop it because they had the mothers were the Supreme Court. I don't know if you know that. See, when they stole the Constitution of the United States, that they call the Constitution, they stole that from the Iroquois Confederation, and they followed it verbatim until they got to the Supreme Court, and they put all men on the Supreme Court, whereas the Confederation put women on the Supreme Court. Because women, the first thing comes to a woman, she don't want her sons to get murdered. She don't want her sons to go to war. You dig it? See, we got a culture that we all have in us. We all have it in us, but we don't really know it. So we're so busy trying to be white because the privileges and the benefits are so good from that side that we destroy ourselves. It's madness. But that's why I look at all of this, especially what happened in that black church. I look at all of that as the Creator is making his move. No one can stop that. Now, I ain't going to go into it in detail, but you know where my mind is on that church. And they're doing everything they can to keep that Christianity out there in the forefront. I'm waiting on someone to say what I told you. And I know people are thinking about it.
You're waiting on what?
The situation at
the
situation on the black church. I'm waiting on someone to make the comment or the statement as to how could that happen in a place of prayer. I'm saying it as nice as I can. How is that possible? Nobody's saying it. We're gonna forgive, and they already said the boy is insane, and his run-in with police is not that bad. He smoked a little marijuana, and then they lowered every flag in the area today except the Confederate flag. What does that tell you? Out of just respect, they could have lowered the flag if they had any type of understanding of black America. And this European that did the killing said, I'm tired of y'all raping our women and taking over our land. Who told him that? Where would he get something like that? When the United States, by law, is only 13 colonies. But when you hang a mailbox on your house, that makes that house in government jurisdiction because you got a federal box hanging on your door, on your house. I bet you didn't know that. That's why a lot of people say you need that's right. You need not only a P.O. box, you need a private P.O. box. Harry's P.O. box company, where you go to a place and get your mail once a week or twice a week to get out of it. Yes. Jurisdiction jurisdiction, see, when you start talking about corporate law, there's a lot of things that in corporate law that we need to know about. And one of the best things in corporate law is there has to be everything that's done has to be done by contract. By contract.
By contract.
Now, yes. Now let me prove that to you real quick. When you see movies of slaves, you see, let's go to Django, for example. Why did they have to make those slaves sign when they got freed? You remember when they freed him? And they only put an X. They only put an X. Now, if I was a European and wanted to steal somebody's land, I'd make up the contract and put an X on it. And then tell my friends that old Harry came. Yes. But they knew then, back in the 1800s, once they set up this thing called United States of America, everything had to be done by contract. We don't understand that. We do not understand that. We were never taught law. We have no idea what that means. And I guarantee you, everything you have in your possession, if there's a signature on it, you were the only one that signed it. Now that should raise some eyebrows. When you purchase your home, did nobody sign that mortgage but you? They gave witnesses signed it that you were there to do it, but who did you make the deal with? You go back to the front of the mortgage, it'll say Countrywide, for example. Where was Countrywide to seal the deal? They wasn't there. When you signed your promissory note, you made the promissory note out to Countrywide. At the bottom, you signed to all the agreements. Countrywide never signed. And I tell you something else. When it comes to the lending institutions, think about this. Every lending institution goes out of business in 6 months. Why? Because they don't want to get traced back to find out that it was an illegal contract that they set up. All they wanted to do was serious as a heart attack. Countrywide came up with the biggest scam in the world, and they were a servicing company, and so what they did, they created Countrywide. What did they call it? It was called Countrywide Lending Institution. And when it was all over, I got mine in 2003. When I went to started having trouble with my mortgage in 2008, the lending institution of Countrywide was out of business. Then Countrywide got in so much trouble, Countrywide went out of business. Then they sold it to a Bank of America, BLACLK, that's what they created. Bank of, I don't know what that BLACLK stand for. I can't remember. But they created that BLACLK so you couldn't trace it back to the lender, because the lenders are not there anymore. They all go out of business. Yes. And I'll tell you something else you don't know, don't think about. Within 90 days of you signing that promissory note, in order for the mortgages to become rich with one mortgage now, they have to securitize, or they securitize the promissory note. What does that mean? They sell it on Wall Street, and then it's gone. So if I borrow, for example, $1,000 from you, and I tell you, sure, I'm going to come back on Friday and pay you, and here's my IOU, and since Mother Hattie says I'll vouch for Ron, sure, so I'll sign it, and if he don't pay, I'll pay. And then Ron's going to give you back $1,500. I'm just giving you some figures. So you jump on that. You say, oh, shoot, cool. So you give me the 1,000. Come Friday, I got the 1,500. I come back. I say, sure. I know you're ready for this money. You say, yeah. I say, well, give me my promissory note, and I get out of here. And you look at me strange and say, damn, what did I do with that promissory note? I think I put it on the note when the kids went to school. I wrote it on the back of the note for the kids to get it. What I said, well, when you get it back, Assure, you'll get this $1,500. I'm out of here. There is nothing you can do. Now, if I'm going to be a good friend and say, well, I know you good, I give you the $1,500 and give you time to find it, which I know you can't find it because you probably destroyed it. You can wait at least 2 months and go downtown and file charges that Ron March, I got a contract right here where Ron March told me he owed me $1,500. And they'll call me downtown and I got to pay you again if I don't get that contract back. You understand? Assure?
Yes, I'm here, Brother Ron. I'm here.
Oh, you scared me. I thought we were cut.
That is crazy. No, I thought I had you off of mute, but no, that is crazy. I have never heard anything like that in my life.
I tell you something else. When people buy an automobile or buy a home, they act like it's a big deal. I'm going to pay it off Friday, and I'm going to have a party. I'm going to burn my mortgage. That's the biggest idiot in the world. Because he didn't pay it off because he'll never own the house because he got to continuously pay taxes and upkeep. But the damnedest thing is he pays, if he gets behind on his taxes, they'll come and take the house away from him. Why do you have to keep paying taxes? And I'll tell you why. Because the United States of America cannot own anything. No corporation can own anything. That's why they set up corporations, and they put the corporation name out there. But the what they call them, the originator of the corporation, he's not out there. All you can sue is the corporation by name, and you'll be lucky to get anything. You cannot sue the individual that set up the corporation. So they can come and take the house. So that's why the next phase, because I'm dealing with promissory notes. I mean, not promissory notes, birth certificates. And I can tell you about that. What you have to do to get the ownership, listen to this clearly, the ownership of Assure, all caps, you can own that name, Assure. You can own that name. Once you do that, you automatically become private. You don't have anything else to do with United States of America. Once you set up your security agreement, there are things you got to do now. It ain't like open and shut. You got to do a security agreement. In that security agreement, you're going to tell United States, I want my retirement, I want my Social Security, I want everything you owe me, you're going to pay me. But all them tickets, all of those prison records that you got on me, I'm just giving you some examples. I want all of that taken out of I don't want it. Now you're becoming sovereign. We can do that. Everybody can do it. This is a plan that some of the guys are working on, but we got to spread it so people will understand it. Then there's going to be a document called Do Not Detain document, which is an injunction. You can create, because if you learn corporate law, if you understand corporate law, you can create a contract through an affidavit. So if you send a contract to the police department and tell them that I am no longer a citizen of the United States, I am no longer Ron March, all caps, I will obey all of your rules, regulations, and laws. Do not stop me on some bullshit. That's basically what you're talking about. It's called a preventive injunction. and you want to get it and you want to send it out. Now, you know they're not going to sign it, so what you have to do is send it out 3 times. This is what the law says. They call it administrative remedy. You must send it out 3 times. And at the last time you send it out, it becomes a contract, because they had ample time to deny your request, because you're going to do it in affidavit form. Anytime you mail out an affidavit, if I have 10 items in there, you stole my chicken, you got my car, you kidnapped my daughter, you chopped down my tree, and I send it to you, and I want you to give me $20,000 for all of this madness, and I send it to you, and you don't respond, they call that first one a notice, declaration of notice, and you don't respond in 30 days, and I got my green card, what they call certified mail. I'm going to send it out again in 30 days, and this time I'm going to call it opportunity to cure. They call it an opticure. This time you're going to remind him or her, I sent this to you, certified mail 30 days ago. I have not heard your response. I'm going to give you 20 days to answer it. If not, I'm going to double the fine from $20,000, now it's $40,000. And you don't respond. The third time I send it out, I'm going to call it what it is: dishonor, default, and dishonor. You have now defaulted, but I'm going to be good and give you 5 days to try and clean it up. Now, you got to answer all 5 of my complaints, yes or no. That's all you got to do. But if I know you got my car and I added all these other things, you can't say yes to the car and no to the rest of them. So now I got you for all of that money, and I can take your butt to court. Now, here's the hang-up that a lot of people don't understand. If I take you to court and I don't win, I call that a victory, because I at least tied your butt up and you had to defend yourself in open court without an attorney. That's why I say these cops, when they bring these charges against a cop, first thing black people say, oh, he gonna get off. Oh, no. You ain't never been charged with a crime. If he got to sleep every night thinking he gonna go to prison and be in there with all them punks and sissies and gangsters that he put in there, he liable to have a heart attack before he get to trial. You agree? Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you there, sure? When you get quiet like this, I don't know if you're on the line or not. Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes. You scared me when you ain't on the line. I don't know if you're there or not. I can't hear nothing.
You know what? Because I had to put you on mute because my dogs were barking, but I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I done did a lot of running my mouth. What time is it? Yeah. I did a lot of jaw jacking. I got 10:30 here. But do you have any? Okay. Now, when I do come down, I'm going to really I'm going to try to do some research on the ladies that are coming in. Where are they coming from? All over the country?
You said where are the ladies coming from?
Yes, all over the country, or they just in Mississippi?
Oh, yes. They'll be from all over the country. It's June 25th through June 27th in Goshen, Mississippi. And we'll be on Library Lane at the Goshen Community Center. We have Empress Filet coming in from Philadelphia. We have a sister coming in from Minneapolis, and we have you coming in from Detroit. So we have people coming in from all over.
That sounds good. And this is the first annual? It's going to be an annual affair?
Yes, an annual affair.
Okay.
Annual
all right.
affair, absolutely.
Well, I'm looking forward.
Yeah, we're looking forward to you coming too, for sure.
Yes, yes.
And we have the program up on our Women United page on Facebook, and people can also make donations on the Facebook page, and they can make donations when they come down.
Okay, okay. And I like the title that you give me to speak on because it gives me a range where I can explain my program that I just talked about with that birth certificate and the history of United States.
Yes. Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
Man, I'm telling you, it's gonna be, I'm looking forward to it. And I really appreciate being invited. So let's deal with it. Now, do you have any questions on any? Yep. Do you have any questions, or do your audience have any questions that they might want to ask me in regards to?
Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if we can get this caller in. Caller from 305. Okay, wait, let's see. Okay, we have Brother Canty. Brother Canty, how are you?
Oh, running on nervous energy, but when I think about the horrible tragedy. How you doing, brother?
I am doing very fine.
Yes,
how are you? Yep. Okay.
Good. Well, physically I'm fine. Emotionally, I am just so distraught. You know, not only is the American flag flying at half-mast, which is to be expected in that state, but the Confederate flag is flying full-mast. So even with this tragedy, nothing moves these racist crackers.
You're right.
And in the eyes of many of these racist crackers, that young boy is a hero. And I thought I heard he had an accomplice who drove him off from the church, but no, he had his own car and got him on video. But we have lost two sterling brothers in the pulpit that would put rings around clergy that I know right here in Brooklyn, which is the largest borough, that these pastors do nothing but gain seniority. They are friends and accomplices and accomplice to white supremacy. And the whites are coming into Bed-Stuy like it's a newfound religion. Blacks are being forced out. Latinos are being forced out. They are, to exacerbate the problem, these helpers happen to be Jewish, are creating a food desert where normally if you live in a housing project or the co-op, coming out your building and go right a short distance to the supermarket that was right across the street or right on the grounds of your building. Now, the first one is close down in Bed-Stuy. That's what is one of the big supermarkets, represented by black elected officials. I call them selected officials. They do nothing, say nothing before the dastardly act is done. Now that it's done and it's being demolished to make way for condos. Imagine, white folks are coming into areas right across the street from housing projects, right on the grounds of middle-income, Mitchell-Lama housing, and there is no convenient place to find food in the supermarket because these rich white folks are coming into Bed-Stuy. They don't cook in their house. They go out to eat every night.
Yes.
All these restaurants in this area has come up in the wake of these ugly condos going up. Not only are they ugly, but energy friendly they're not because they have no solar panels on the roof, so they're requiring juice and medicine. So it's going to be a very interesting summer. We have the heck is supposed to have the promised record heat wave. But as far as the tragedy in Charleston, all this time, blacks paying their taxes in a town where the Confederate flag flies everywhere. I was in a town with Tawana Brawley, showing support for Tawana Brawley. She was forced to pay her rapist for raping her, and where she's living in a town called Surrey, Virginia. We got to see all these Confederate flags, Confederate monuments right on the ground of the courthouse. The American flag is in an obscure location. The Confederate flag, the memorial to the Confederate soldiers, is all over the place. Even in Norfolk, Virginia, Confederate flags all over the place, including a 12-story high monument dedicated to the Civil War, the Confederate soldiers that was killed in the Civil War.
Yep.
So when I saw Obama gave his speech, did you notice, my brother? And I saw when he gave the speech reacting to the killing in Emmanuel AME Church, he was personally touched because it was Reverend Pinckney and him were very good friends, as well as Pinckney was supposed to be working with Hillary Clinton for her candidacy for the presidency, but also Obama's wife, her people are from there, and they knew many of the people at this church, so including the pastor. So we have this historian pastor that murdered, but we have another pastor who wasn't too well known outside of New Jersey per se, but he was well known in the most notorious jungle on the northeast corridor, and that is Camden, New Jersey.
Wow.
Reverend Dr. Rich Starcher, very outspoken, very positive brother. He was, I would declare, an undeclared Pan-African nationalist, but when we talked, he became my mentor, I became his mentor. We talked about heavy stuff, and I always said to myself, boy, this brother is so deep with his thoughts and expressions. I wonder, was he being monitored by the FBI? Because, there are people that you can talk to, and you know that they are deep thinkers, and they throw out science to you, you throw out science to them, and you see that they are appreciating your spoken word, you appreciate their spoken word. You wonder how they can exist without the government keeping a tab on them. But they have now, he had a massive heart attack. He's leaving a wife and two children, including the boy. This wife of Reverend Pinckney, he leaves his wife and two children, but at least their two daughters. So, I just know that there are very few clergy that want to get involved with dealing with the masses. They do not want to get involved. This brother here, Stargell in Camden, he was able to ignite the fire of the young people, where he would talk to them and get them to understand the history of their culture, and would get the key administrators at not only at Howard and other black colleges, he would get them in Princeton University, which was not too far from the Camden. So we have two pastors. One died of a natural cause from massive heart attack. Other one is killed with a praise gunman. But where are these black clergy that will be able to fill this void? So we have a shortage of pastors that want to deal with the issues of liberation and justice causes on a daily basis. They mostly want to play the game of being more cautious rather than courageous. And that's a tragedy.
Wow.
Dr. King even denounced those kind of clergy, because they always pimping off the people and using entertainment to be a blind spot so black people don't pick up on what's going on. And we are most vulnerable to hearing a certain kind of beat in the black church. And it becomes like the church has become a gospel shop where they don't sing the great choral works. They don't hear the great organ works. All they hear is just even the songs of Zion. They don't even sing that. All they sing is this jump up music, and the people are yelling at the top of their voice. And our people just love that kind of music. I don't know what it is, but they just gravitate to that kind of music. And in the meantime, the pastors are not activists, not giving a damn about the crumbling schools, the inadequate health care, the housing crisis. I mean, we have so much going on here in New York with a weak mayor who is in over his head, who has no desire to listen to the people that got him into office. Those are mostly black and Latinos. So if you hear de Blasio being only a one-term mayor, don't be surprised.
Wow. Well, brother, I noticed. Yeah. Well, from what you just said, is it possible that those two ministers were targeted by this individual?
I would not say that the individual. I said the government, because you see, we don't know how far the secret hand of this government goes in keeping a tab on even potential black leaders that have not gained the momentum that Dr. King was able to get to the point where he had thousands of people following him that marched on Washington. That was at the peak of his popularity. But when he came out against the war in Vietnam, black people abandoned him. Over 55% of the black population abandoned Dr. King. What happened to these two brothers? One was an elected official. There also was a sterling pastor, very concerned about the least fortunate. But also the other pastor, Rich Starcher, he was of the same mentality. And he always told me his father is still with us. His father is in Detroit. And his father said, black people are going to have to get a new bag of tricks, because we have not a clue how we're going to get out of this mess with the enemy well organized, not if, it is when they're going to get the final solution to take us down. And most blacks are not prepared to know that this government has turned on us before when we lost our Reconstruction rights. It took that away to prevent a second civil war, and they are now desirous of getting rid of a people that has been rendered, that Marcus Garvey warned us not to become, a surplus race of people. Marcus Garvey, we didn't listen to any of our ancestors.
I was just getting ready to say, you keep leaving the door open with me that, when those white boys in Boston was killing people with that Boston Marathon, the first thing the police officers did after they captured them and everything was settled, they went to their family and friends to find out if there was any conspiracy or any type of aid. I haven't even heard anybody bring up anything on this Looney Tune that they keep saying is insane, but yet he had enough sense to go into a church and handpick two, and you just said it, handpick two of the most progressive ministers in the community. Don't you think that was a setup? Is there a possibility that was a setup?
Well, one of the ministers, Reverend Sargent, he died from a massive heart attack from being so much involved with our young people, and then he had played a game of basketball and he collapsed and never regained consciousness. That was a natural cause, but it was still a great loss and a shock to the community and to the church and to the city of Camden. But in this town of Charleston, this pastor here was an elected official. He was a productive. He wasn't just taking a space in the state senate. He was the one that was initiated the idea of policemen having cameras on them, because don't forget that black man that was shot by that police officer with his back officer. Yep. And the cop shot him several times in the back. Well, this man here, Pinckney, was the one who got it introduced that there would be body cams on these police officers.
Okay,
now,
I understand that. But see, I don't put anything past the European, and especially now when they're so vulnerable now that the economy is collapsing, and they got a black president. That black president was not put there by he wasn't elected, he was selected. So we get all these people to get on microphones and start talking and try to act like we got something to gain by being good citizens for the United States. And I don't see it. And I don't hear anybody talking about it from another perspective. And I'm definitely not talking about getting guns and trying to fight those Europeans, because we'll never win that way. But we need some more education as to who we really are and why are we in this hocus pocus trick bag. That's where I'm coming from. So I don't, when you start talking the way you're talking,
I concur.
All of that civil rights, all of that madness is taboo to me. I lived in segregation. I'm 75 years old. I lived in segregation. I lived through integration. I'd give up everything today to go back to segregation. And I bet you we would clean up all these thugs and punks and crooks that's doing all this madness. We'd clean it up in less than 6 months. I bet you we'd get rid of them. You understand what I'm saying? But you got people that say, oh, no, we're going to sing with them. We're going to pray with them. We're going to do all kind of madness with them. We're going to marry them, and we're going to fall in love. All of that garbage, and look where we are. That's madness. So I appreciate your call,
Obama cannot help us. Yeah.
Nope. He wasn't put there.
Yeah, Obama cannot help us. And, no, but see, black people thought that he would be, they had invested heavily, more so his re-election than his first go-round, than his re-election. And he has taken boogers out of his nose and freaked them at us. And we were told it's snowing. But he has done nothing to deal with the cause of white supremacy, though. You're not going to get away with killing an innocent black man like Troy Anthony Davis down there in Savannah. They had no evidence on this man. All Obama had to do was just tell that no good older who did nothing while he was in office as Attorney General to send down the orders that hand the case of Troy Anthony Davis over to him and make his case civil rights case, because they had no physical evidence that he killed his white officer, and yet he was sentenced to death, and he's now in his grave. You got a case with Michael Brown.
But brother, you seem to be.
Yeah,
but listen, you seem to be very versed in history. Now, I want to know, when did we ever become citizens of the United States? We're nothing but slaves, and you can do anything you want to do to a slave. So why are we worried about a Trayvon Martin and all of that? Why?
Because we are not listening. Because we're not listening to the fact that, like you said, we're not citizens. Because, like Malcolm said, if you have human rights, you automatically have civil rights. But if you have a people that never had political or legal protection, you are, even in the days of
you're saying that now, but your whole presentation, all I get from you is we can do better and get along with them. That's what I hear you saying. And I'm saying, I'm private. I don't want to get along with them. I don't hear that coming from you.
I hear you.
That's all I'm saying.
No, I hear you. I think you're misinterpreting me. I find
I apologize. I apologize.
If the enemy is white, if the enemy is white supremacy, there is no compromise with white supremacy. No compromise. If that's been a given, then all this time we've been playing with ourselves under the illusion that things will get better if we just behave, if we just go get our degrees and go to get into a high position, play it.
Dred Scott Case told you. Dred Scott Case told you in 1857 that you will never become a citizen of the United States. So, I mean, our language has to change. You know, our direction has to change. Why are we still trying to act like we're going to be good and we need help and all of that when we got to learn how to become private? Private, brother, private. Once you become private, you can set up protection so that they cannot get to you. And you do it through a trust. That's the end result of being private. You must set up a trust. And it must be a foreign trust to keep them out of your business. Your home becomes an embassy when you set up a trust. You know, we got a lot to learn on how to protect ourselves. All this gobbledygook and round, they keep killing us, and we keep praying, and we're getting nowhere. And I'm tired of it. And so I'm trying to tell you.
We're like the
Go ahead.
Yeah. We're like the guinea pig on the treadmill.
Yes.
The guinea pig on the treadmill. No matter how fast we go, we're still stuck on the treadmill.
Yes.
We're not getting anywhere because, like you said, we are not facing the reality of our status as non-citizens.
Well, we need to challenge.
You are a non-citizen.
Yes. We need to challenge all of these bougie Negroes that keep talking about integration. We need to challenge those people. You know what I'm saying?
They are the major. They are exactly. Most definitely. See, they are the impediment that they would die first rather than be inclusive of the masses of people that they consider asses.
Yep.
It's an ongoing class war amongst our people that continue to ruin our future for the unborn generation.
Yes. All right, brother. I appreciate your call.
We have to be very clear about it. Yes.
I hear you. Yes.
Where's everybody else? All right. Take care, man.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. Sure.
I appreciate you too, man.
All right.
Wish you do.
All right.
Okay, I'm signing off. Take care.
Okay. Take care, Canty.
You too, man.
All right, sister.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. I know we had a little technical difficulty there in the beginning, but we made it through.
Yes.
We'll be looking forward to seeing you next Thursday around this time. Well, earlier than this time. We'll see you next Thursday in Goshen, Mississippi.
You're going to see me. You're going to see me on Wednesday. I'll be in there. I'm going to drive down Wednesday. Did you get business taken care of with Sister Hattie? Did you get the business?
Yes, we'll be taking care of that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Call me tomorrow or text me and give me the details. What I'm supposed to do.
Sure will.
All right.
Okay.
All right, sister. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for your time. All right.
All right.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
And thank you for tuning in to the Lotus Place Radio Show tonight, and we will be